and he's our legislative support coordinator for our region. And so I'm grateful to Evan for helping organize this, grateful to our legislators for being here, and grateful to all of you. We have many elected officials and dignitaries here today. If I miss one, you're gonna slay me. So if you are an elected official, if you wouldn't mind just standing so that we can recognize you and see if you're an elected official. Wonderful. It's great to have you here. This is a sort of a tradition that we do in this region, where we try to gather the legislators together to give you their messages about what they see coming up, but then most of all, to hear from you about what your priorities are for the upcoming legislative session. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Martha Garcia for her welcome to the counties. Martha?
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you that have come here today and will be presenting your needs and your requests to our legislators here. This year, we will be all in line for what our needs are within our respective counties and our communities. And I just like to say that we hope that we would be able to get some funding from the state and be able to make it work for our communities. I know that having been on the commission here for Cibola County, I'm serving my first term. This is going into my third year pretty soon. But I've seen there are a lot of needs within our county, and being also a member to the COG, I've seen the need both in McKinley and up in San Juan. So with that, we will be looking forward to a successful sessions, and we'll be up there running into each other at the legislatures maybe on a daily basis, because that's what we do. And we'd like to thank Jeff and Mr. Williams for always being there and helping us out and helping the legislatures out. And I'd like to say welcome again to each and every one of you for being here. And with that, thank you. I also work with the Raymond Alpha chapter. So today I'm here wearing that hat, and briefly I'll just say thank you as a commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. I was just reminded when we heard one of the phones go off, if you could put your phones on stun for the remainder of the meeting this morning. And as according to our tradition, we do ask our legislators just to kind of kick things off with just their kind of overview, their observation, I guess you might say, of what's coming up with this legislative session. Should be a very interesting one, a different one. We have a new administration in place. We have newly elected people in different positions. So we'd like to start it off with Representative Eliseo Alcon.
Thank you, Jeff, and thanks everybody for being here, and thanks for the invite. It's really awesome to be able to meet in this situation, this setup every year. At least we get to know who you are. Sometimes I read the newspaper, and that's when I find out that somebody has been appointed to a position or elected, and I have no idea. I have to place the people. No, I can't. Okay, so thank you for everybody for being here. I think we're going, I'm starting my 11th year this year. This is going to be my 6th term. I'll start in the I guess I am the senior manager, if they call me the senior citizen. I'm the senior legislator. Senator Munoz and I both got elected at the same time. So we'll start our 12th year now in January. Now, we're going to have a really busy session. We got 60 days coming up in January. We got 14 new representatives. Every one of them is going to have their own agenda. So I expect that we're going to see maybe 1,000 bills or so dropped that we're going to have to go through and figure out how we're going to make the state of New Mexico works. So it's going to be fun. And I know it's good. We're going to be very busy. This much I can promise you, that we're going to be very busy. I chair a committee, Senator Sanchez chairs a committee. So we are just going full blast all the time. But it's fun, but our doors are always open. Anytime you're up there in Santa Fe, you better find me, because I know you can if you try. I'm not that hard to. I always make sure that no matter what time the session starts, if the session starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, I will be in my office at 8 o'clock in the morning. If it starts at 10, I'll be in my office at 9. But I always have 1 hour before session that I am in my office, just that someone can come and meet with me if they want to at any time. So again, thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for putting up with me for 10 years, and started my 11th next year.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Clemente Sanchez.
Good morning, everyone, and good to see everyone here. Thank you, Jeff, and everyone for putting this together, the COG. You know, before I go on, I want to say, everyone has the agenda here. And at the top here, I represent numerous municipalities, counties, tribes. When I go to Valencia County, I have to go on separate days for all of them. Last week or the week before, I was there, one day with the school board, the next day with the county, and the next day with Bosque Farms. I wish that we could get them over there to do the same thing here. Maybe I need to talk to their colleagues or something about doing this, because, that's a long haul, especially when you're there. I was there on Wednesday till 9 o'clock at night with Valencia County. Next morning at 7:38, I was with Bosque Farms over there. So anyway, I really commend everyone for doing this, and what I like to say is where our communities work together to get this done. Over there, it's a struggle. Everybody's fighting for their thing. Anyway, with that, I just want to. I will be entering my 7th year in my 2nd term as a senator representing 4 counties: Cibola, Valencia, Socorro, and McKinley counties, portions of them. My home base is here, and we, as Representative Alcon said, him and I chair committees. I chair the Corporations and Transportation Committee. That's in the Senate, where all business legislation comes through: tax, banking, whatever, and transportation legislation. So we are very busy. My hours, my thing, the way I have my policy is I'm usually there every day by 7:30, and I usually don't leave till about 9, and early in the session, 9 or 10 at night. So if you want to come see me, I'm there somewhere. Once I go in the building, I rarely leave. Rarely leave. So you can come to my office. I have a policy in my office that, and I always have a line outside my office because of corporations, lobbyists, everybody there in line. But I have a policy in my office and with my staff that if a constituent comes, they go to the front of the line. Because you all traveled a long ways, a lot of lobbyists, a lot of businesses, they're there all the time, so they can wait. And doesn't matter, and even though that constituents come first. I also have a policy that if I'm in committee and you're there and you need to visit with me, let my staff know, they will come pull me out of the committee. If I'm on the floor and you need to see me, and we've done this before, tell one of the attendants there that you want to see me. They'll come and tell me, because they know that if a constituent comes, go pull me out, and I'll come and visit with you. So keep that in mind. My phone, it's always, logs available by phone. So anyway, we need to be available to our constituency. Now with the session coming up, you've heard that we have a surplus this year, thanks to oil and gas. We have a large surplus for the current year, which we're estimating between $950 to $1 billion in excess revenue over the budgeted expenses that we have now. So for this current fiscal year, which ends June 30th, we will have almost $1 billion. Of course, it's all dependent on oil. We saw what oil's been doing lately. It went from October from $70 a barrel to yesterday, I think it was $48 a barrel. So, you know, so it's all dependent on that. So we have that in the upcoming fiscal year. We have the projected excess is about 1.1 billion. So we have a total of about $2 billion in additional cash. And so the question is, what are we going to do with it? I think us as caretakers of the budget and I think we need to be responsible legislators. One thing that we need to do first is we need to put some money aside in the reserve. No different than your own personal account. You have a savings to be able to cover it. We need to do that, and we need to do it a little higher than we've done in the past. So that's the first thing we're going to do. You know, we have, I said we have $2 billion in excess revenue over the budget expenses in the combined 2 years. Well, everybody already wants about $5 billion of that. $2 billion. So anyway, so we have that. We have our budget. You know, a lot of this is money. When it comes to capital outlay, the way I understand it, I sit on tax, and then I sit on the designated on the legislative finance committee. Next year I will be full-time on the legislative finance committee in the interim. But the way I understand the way we're doing the capital outlay this year, normally the state goes and bonds, borrows money for capital outlay projects. This year, we're doing that out of cash. So that changes things. It's good for us. It's good for us fiscal conservatives who don't like to borrow money. But the thing is that we have to be cautious, and you all have to be cognizant of this, that you can't let the project sit. Right now, the way I understand it, if you don't have a plan or something committed within 12 months, and most of it expended, or at least tap the account within 18 months, it will be lost. And we will not reauthorize cash. So just keep that in mind. Whatever projects we have, gotta move on them, or we're gonna lose them, and we have no discretion over that. That's what was agreed on in LFC, that we're going to, so just keep that in mind. Now, that's the way I understand how it is. We're not bonding, so it's different, which makes it a little easier. You know, they always complain about using bonded money, long-term bonds, to finance certain things like vehicles. Well, if it's cash now, we don't have to worry about bonding. We don't have to worry about that long-term. So it makes it easier for us and to convince the governor that we will be, you know, to get our projects. A lot of times it's hard to get vehicles. Okay. So anyway, so that's what, keep that in mind. And when it comes to the rest of the session, I know Representative Alphonse said, I think he said might have 1,000, 1,500. That's probably only the house. The projected introduction of bills is going to be about 3,500 bills. That means us as committee chairs, we're going to get a lot of them. There's no possible way that we're going to be able to hear everything, every one of those bills. There's a lot of bills, social issue bills that are coming up. We have a new administration that we'll need to be working with, and I emphasize working with. I always have to remind the administration and the governors and the judicial. There are three branches of government, and they're one, and we're one. And you have judicial. So we have to do what's responsible. And I remember Kenny Martinez said, you know, telling me about a month or so ago, I said, hey, it's going to be pretty neat working with a member of my party in the executive. He says, but they're all the same. It doesn't matter. You'll fight with them too. It doesn't matter. They have their agenda. You have your agenda. So it won't be. But you know, we need to work together. Elections are over. Time to go. That's what we need to do. So anyway, so I'll leave it at that, and then we can talk about different projects. But there's a lot of stuff up there. But I just hope that you all come up and visit us, because it gets lonely up there not seeing our own constituents up there and get tired of seeing lobbyists. So anyway, thank you, Jay.
Representative Harry Garcia, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here this morning. Just to touch a little bit on what Senator Sanchez just said, you know, there is a lot of money, but we just can't take it for granted because it's there today, it's going to be there tomorrow, because we don't want to get in the situation that we were 3 years ago when the state outlet went broke, you know. We had to sweep all the schools, and, you know, that was a bad deal. So, you know, we need to keep that in mind. You know, I represent 6 counties. I think I have the biggest district in the state of New Mexico. And this year I hear that we might be getting capital outlay in the $2 million mark for representative. And I think the senator a little bit over $3 million. I'm not for sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But you need to keep in mind that I have to support 6 counties, not just Cibola County. And I'm going to do the best I can to help each and every county. And last year, the senator and the representative of Alcona all got together and pitched in so we could be fair with everybody that needs money, you know. And the biggest deal here is you people out there that want all these fundings, you need to help us to realize what you guys need. You know, because we read about it, we hear about it, but we need to hear from you personally, say, you know what, the county needs this, or the city needs this. Those are the biggest issues, because we don't know exactly what you need. Because, you know, like I said, I got 6 counties that got to take care of, which are San Juan, McKinley, Cibola, Bernalillo, Valencia, and Socorro counties. You know, I got a real big district, and we want to help you guys out. And this year is going to be better than most years. You know, this will be my 2nd term and a half, because I was went into office early. And the first 2 years were pretty tough. But this year we're hoping, with the money that's there, that we can do better for our communities. Like, you know, there's a lot of issues, Milan needs issues, Grand Police Department needs things that we need to help you with. But like I said, we need your help to tell us what you need. And the senator also said, you know, when you get this capital outlay, you need to use it, because you will lose it. And, you know, people are crying, well, you know, we had $400,000 and the state took it. Well, they take it back if you don't use it. You can't sit on it. You know, you really can't sit on it. You know, and I look forward to helping as much as I can through all my counties. This is my hometown, so naturally, you know, that's the way it goes. And we're going to try really hard to help all you people in this room, you know, because there's a lot of need. And let's hope that it all works out at the end of the day. Thank you, sir, and thank you for being here. And we look forward to helping you out.
I wanted to let you all know that we spoke with Senator George Munoz, who had planned to be here. He is in Dallas helping his son with some urgent medical issues. And so he gives his apologies and his greetings to everybody, but he was not able to be here, I'm sure you understand. So greetings from one of your native daughters, Representative Patty Lundstrom. She's going to be serving as chair of the House Appropriations and Finance Committee, and she's always a big champion for this county as well. Yes, sir.
One more thing, excuse me, one more thing. I do sit on transportation and I do sit on appropriations, which are the best committees to be on, because one's money, one's infrastructure for our state, so just run that by you.
So he's got all the money, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully I stay there another term, which I think I am going to stay, so that'll work out for us out.
So let's just give a warm applause and welcome to our whole delegation. Well, thank you very much. Without further ado, we're going to ask you to be very concise in your presentations for each of you on the agenda. We have many to go through. We do have lunch to be served as part of the proceedings today, so thank you very much to the county and those who are contributing to the lunch. Again, without further ado, we'll go ahead and start with first on the list is from the Village of Milan. We understand that, Paul, you'll be presenting.
Yes.
Welcome aboard. We do have the PowerPoint ready to go in order, so Evan will help you track.
turn this podium a little bit here so I can kind of see the slides as I'm going through here. I know I don't have a lot of time, I think we're allocated 10 minutes of speech. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you for taking time to listen to us today, and I wanted to also thank you for your contributions to the Village of Milan last year for our Maribel Park project. That project is scheduled to start construction now in the springtime. We just signed the agreements now this fall, so that money is getting turned around very quickly, and that's going to be a good project for us. The Village of Milan has three basic needs that we're bringing before you today. The first need is parks and recreation. We have a soccer field and a baseball field in the Village of Milan. Both of these fields are in dire need of not only amenities there, but also renovation of the fields. The fields are in poor shape. We don't have to completely redo them, but we have to do some leveling, some reseeding there. We have we need to put in some storage facilities. We want to bring in some portable storage facilities and some portable concession stands, as well as a track, well, it's actually a walking track around the soccer field so that the people that go watch the soccer games have access to all the different fields. We also need to put in ADA parking. We're requesting $300,000, and that's for improvements to these fields and adding in some of these amenities, as well as the other thing that we need in there is also bathroom facilities at both of these. We want to put in a batting cage at the Kearns Field, baseball field, and we also need equipment for future maintenance of the field. We'd like to get aeration, an aerator. We'd like to get a tractor, trucksters, and a spreader so that we can use for spreading fertilizer and seed and that type of thing. So we're asking $300,000 for that project. The second project that we have on our list is for the police department, and this is police department vehicles. We have an aging fleet of police vehicles. We have 10 vehicles right now. We have 9 police vehicles and 1 vehicle for the chief of police. We're going to be asking for $200,000, and this is to purchase 4 standard police cruisers and 2 SUV police units. We need, one of the SUV police units will be used for our K-9 officer. We do have a K-9 officer in the Village of Milan that we use, and has been very effective, especially around the travel centers that we have in the Village of Milan, is trying to keep some of these drugs off the streets. The other thing that money will be used for is for equipping these vehicles. We'll need light bars, cages, not computers, but we'll need the hardware, the mounting hardware for these computers to outfit these vehicles. The current vehicles we have now, most of them have at least 100,000 miles on them and more. And so we're beginning to see a lot of issues in maintenance of these vehicles and expense as well. The third project we have on the list is a wastewater treatment plant. The Village of Milan, Village of Milan has identified the need for a new wastewater treatment plant. Our costs keep escalating over the past 6 years. Our costs have more than tripled for processing our sewer. And so we have 2 choices at this point. We either have to go in and implement a significant increase to the Village of Milan residents to pay for the processing of our sewer, or build a new wastewater treatment plant. We completed a PDR for the wastewater treatment plant about a year ago, and it shows that with the cost of the wastewater, the maintenance cost of the wastewater treatment plant and the repayment of the loan would be significantly cheaper than what we're paying right now just for the process of our wastewater, So we're requesting $400,000 for the design costs of that wastewater treatment plant. So I stand for any questions.
Paul, on that, soccer field, is grass usually the same soccer field?
Yeah,
There's not one in town, right?
we have, the one in Milan, it's the grass field, is that what your question was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a grass field that's there right now, and that field is very uneven. It has places where it holds a lot of water and things. It's real clumpy. And so we want to go in there and do some top dressing, reseeding and top dressing to level it off. And then there's also a problem with access around to the different fields because they divide up. It's a big field out there, and I think they have 3 soccer fields on it. And so right now it's difficult for people to get around to the different fields to watch their kids play. And so we have right now a track that is millings is what it is, like gravel, that we have right now. We would like to pave that. We also have a problem with the ADA parking there where it's inside the field, and there's been a problem with opening the gates and so that people that have handicaps can get in there as well. We don't have any facilities. We just have porta potties there for restroom facilities. We don't have any facilities there for storage or concession. And so we were looking at the AYSO, that these portable buildings that can be brought in to be used for concession and storage. And we have the similar problems over at Kearns Field as well. In Kearns Field, and there's a lot of kids that use these fields and depend on these fields. And there's going to be more this year because we'll be rebuilding Maribel Park where they do the kids football. That'll be moved over to Kearns Field, and we need to try to get that in condition so that they can play on that and not be injured.
Just one more question, Paul. How many kids use that field, that soccer field, in the season that they do use it?
I don't have the numbers of
There's quite a few.
there's quite a few, yeah. Yeah, on any given weekend, I've been out there, and there are several teams. Do you know how many teams there are, Mayor?
I don't know how many teams there are, but the number that we got for the amount of kids that use that field, and this is per weekend, is about 150 to 180 for the soccer, and flag football is 130 that use.
About 300.
Yes.
And does grass utilize that soccer field quite often?
They haven't, to my knowledge, they haven't used it at this time. They did ask for the use of it, I think at a time when their field was, you had your field was being.
Actually, the kids from the city of Grants also play soccer out there. The soccer association organizes the whole soccer association. So our kids from Grants play out there. They do some practicing in the city fields or parks, but we do play soccer in Milan.
The reason I asked the question of grants is because, I talked to Representative Alcon earlier about sharing capital outlay to improve the field.
Yeah.
And that's important because, grants is using it just as much as Milan is. And, and I've been out there because my grandkids play soccer and they don't have anything out, Fitzgerald would have to go to a porta potty out there
Right.
with 300 or 400 people out there, and we really need to improve that.
And there was also on that, I know that field in Milan was actually a field that was transferred from the middle school here, and it was actually the Village of Milan employees that went out and used their saw cutter and cut all the sawdust and placed it over there. So and to me, coming from working at the golf course out here, I thought that was going to be an impossible task, and they did it.
I'm glad that the Village of Milan and the City of Rancho are working together because I know there's issues on the sewer problem. I'm glad they're working together on other things that don't affect their kids.
Well, I think one of the things that we all realize, the city of Grants as well, and Laura has said this as well, is that we know that whatever one community does affects the other. So that's always in the front of our mind.
I'm glad they're working together.
Just a comment, a long time ago, I just want to remind everybody, we went to an early meeting at the Village of Milan when the planning was done for like the new Los Alamitos school, because they were gonna take out the field, so we had to move it to Milan. And I just want to remind everybody that the county, the city of Grants, and the village of Milan, in that meeting, all said that they would support this project together. Somehow or another, I don't know how, it became just the village of Milan's project. But that one meeting, in fact, I think Senator Sanchez was there, and Senator Munoz were there, and they were even looking for state money of about $300,000 to fix the field, which, of course, because of the way money went, we didn't get it, but we did get a field. And it's great, because my granddaughter played there for, I don't know how many years now, she's in the high school league, but we need to remind everybody that the commitment at that time was from all three entities together to maintain this field, to put it in, to maintain it, and to keep that commitment has been impossible. Because from what I've seen so far, in, I don't know, what is this now, about 8 years, it is just a long project. But I do want to remind the other entities that when you were talking about getting a soccer field, you said you would be part of it. And I want you to keep that commitment today, and that's why I'm asking Representative Garcia and Senator Munoz to help me on the capital outlay side to get this field done together, because it does belong to basically the whole county, not just the city and the village. We have not only, we get a lot of young teams out of Baca, out of Pruitt that come in and play. It's just really fantastic. They come in and we have, I don't know, I think they bring in like 4 teams every year for the soccer field. So we have quite a thing going there. And it's making our high school look good too. To be honest, our high school for the first time got rated, I think, 11th in the state. So this is the first time in forever that that has happened. And that's because of this efforts.
Well, yeah, I remember when we had that meeting but you know, when it comes to the capital outlay, the soccer field in Milan might not be on Grant's priority or the county's. But us as legislators, we have this pot that we can put it together anyway and direct it into that area. So we can, you know, but it is used by everyone. I mean, it's used by my constituents, it's used by Harry's constituents, it's used in that's George District. It makes no sense that I don't represent Milan, but it doesn't matter, it's one community. And I just want to say again on this thing, I wish I had this in Valencia County where the communities work together. It is a struggle over there, other than Peralta and Bosque Farms together, working together. But, I mean, I have over there, I have rural communities, I have Los Lunas, I have Peralta, I have Bosque Farms. I mean, it's just a bunch of, and they don't do this, they don't work together on projects. So it's, you know, they would be better off doing that. But anyway, I just want to comment.
And this is a nice thing for us as well, because we get a chance to hear what the other communities' needs are as well.
I have one other question on the wastewater treatment plant. So, explain that to me again a little. It's we have the Grants wastewater treatment plant, right? But yours is what?
Our costs have been escalating over the past 6 years, and especially over the past couple of years, to the point that if it's more cost effective for us to build our own plant, it would cost less than what we're paying right now to have a sewer process. It would cost less for us to operate our own plant and pay for the note payment. And and we're talking about a note payment that'll probably only be maybe a 10-year note payment for the money that we're spending right now. And then at that point, the Village of Milan will have those funds available, you know, to help with some of the things that we're asking you for money, we can then fund ourselves.
So what will it cost to build that plant?
We're estimating about $3.5 million.
What did it cost to build Grants? Do you remember?
15 million.
How
much?
15 million.
So how could yours be 3 million?
Well, we're only looking at about 150,000, 200,000 gallons per day. The city of Grants is processing 1.2 million gallons per day. And that's the difference. Theirs is, this will be 1/10 the size of what theirs is. I'll probably be a little bigger than that, but it's about 10%.
So how is the rate set that, I mean, how are you charged? Who sets the rate that says Milan will pay this much?
The rate is an agreement between the city of Grants and the village of Milan. This was an agreement that went into place before I went into the village of Milan. And that rate was set by the city of Grants, and the village of Milan accepted it at that time. And with the city of Grants, one of the big issues that we're having with the city of Grants is that we're having some real erratic meter readings. It's all based on meter readings of the sewer. We're getting some real erratic meter readings. Our meter readings are running from month to month, anywhere from 2.6 million gallons to, I just saw yesterday, the meter reading for November was 9.6 million gallons for the month. And I've asked for an explanation from it, and the only explanation that I got back was that they had the meter calibrated, the meter was reading low, and but it's just questionable, and we're just held to pay those fees. We're being charged the highest rate of the highest rate that City of Grants charges to any of their customers. We pay the same rate as Mount Taylor Edition. The rate that Mount Taylor Edition not only pays for the process of the sewer, but it also pays for maintenance of the distribution system. With the village of Milan, we're only paying for sewer processing. We do our own maintenance of our distribution system.
So what is the whole total intake into the sewer system in Grants? If you're doing 9.6 million, that means the city of Grants is producing another 25 million?
Well, they're averaging about 1.2 million gallons a day. So that's about 35 to 40 million gallons. Is that right, Mark?
Yes.
35 to 40 million gallons a month is what they're processing.
That's big city numbers.
One question, Paul. If you got your own sewer plant, your own system, how much difference would that be on your consumers in Milan, the village of Milan? How much would their sewer rates go up, or will they stay balanced out of what they are?
Yeah, we believe, with building our own sewer plant, we would be able to hold their sewer rates at the current level. If not, we would have to raise their sewer rates significantly, probably in the order of some 30%.
If you stay with the system that's on and running now?
Yeah, one of the paragraphs in the agreement is the city of Grants in their sewer ordinance, they have in their ordinance that they can raise the sewer rates every year by the CPI amount, cost of living amount. And so that generally is around 3%. And so every year that number will keep going up. But the biggest problem is the erratic meter readings that we're getting, and is the hardest part because we can't even budget. You know, we try to budget for a certain amount, and historically, it's been when we first started on this meter system. Historically, it's been between 3.5 million and 4 million gallons a month. Then it moved up closer to 4 million gallons a month. Then it moved up to 5 million gallons a month. Now we've seen, this past fall, we've seen 2 months, one of them 8.6 million gallons, and now November 9.6 million gallons. And then we also saw a month, October was 2.6 million gallons. And there's no explanation that we can come up with that we could see that variable in a month. We just don't have that. Those changes do not exist in the village of Milan.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. Next up, City of Grants. I think Laura Jaramillo, City Manager, will be presenting. Laura.
Good afternoon, Senators, Representatives, Community Partners. I'd like to start out by thanking the Council of Governments again, Evan and Jeff, for the effort in putting this together. It wasn't easy to coordinate all of our schedules. That was the hardest part, but thank you for being persistent in that. I'd like to thank my staff, Don Jaramillo, Mark Teshima, for the efforts they've put into coming up with our priorities and working with our departments. But I would like to thank Wilson and Company, Mario and his staff for the effort in working with us, helping us to come up with a great plan. Our top 3 priorities are First Street Phase 3 from Adams to Roosevelt, that will complete all of First Street, Police Department vehicles, and Public Work vehicles and equipment. So First Street Phase 3, Adams to Roosevelt is, we need approximately $2 million. First Street is a major road in Grants that connects several key parts of the community. It's the main connector to the high school, community college, hospital, county complex, not to mention several neighborhoods. Planning for the paving of First Street began in the early 1990s. A chlorinated plume, shallow groundwater, Malachi rock, and of course funding are some of the reasons the project has taken 2 decades to get to the 3rd and final phase of construction. The final phase includes full-depth street reconstruction, curb and gutter, sidewalk, ADA, wheelchair ramps, underground storm drainage, signage, striping, and dry pack construction. The 2019 baseline funding estimate is $2 million. Once Phase 3 is completed, the entire one-way pair, First and Second Street network will be complete. So right now, last year we received $175,000 for First Street Phase 2. That construction will begin in a few months. Then we also have obtained enough funding to finish Second Street. So we will begin working on that probably in the summertime so that we don't impact the high school. So Phase 3 of First Street will be the last phase. The next slide kind of gives you a picture of the construction. The project will include bike lanes. It'll continue to be a one-way. It'll include drainage for First Street, which has been a big problem for history. Sidewalks, ADA compliant, all of that. The only thing it's not going to include, which it did on the upper section, is the light. Next project, Police Department vehicles. We're asking for $184,000. The law enforcement department is responsible for serving and protecting the citizens of Grants, and they have a dire need to equip its officers with the right tools. 4 Dodge Durangos are needed to replace an older fleet. Across the nation, responsiveness defines success or failure, life or death. The city has secured quotes, and it is in need of $184,000 to replace older units. We like to emphasize that over the last 4 years, we've made a concerted effort to replace units. And over that time, we've replaced about 15 units. We've tried to do a few each year so that they don't all age out at the same time. Last on our priority list, but not last in our concern, is our street department vehicles and equipment. We're asking for $183,426. The department's fleet of trucks currently includes pickups with more than 125,000 miles. A 2004 Ford 2000 Chevy S10, a 2007 Chevy Silverado, and a 2003 Ford F-150. The city is asking for 4 Silverados, extended cab trucks to support the streets and utility department in serving their community each day. We are also asking for a commercial roller needed for paving projects within the city limits. We currently have a roller and we're finding it's not big enough to do our roads and not giving us the right outcome that we should have. $70,000 is asked for that. I would like to emphasize that we understand there is possibly additional dollars this year, so our request is a higher amount than we typically ask for. Each of these projects could be done with less money should you need to break things out. And we just wanted you to know that we do understand you serve many communities, and we will not be angry if we don't get everything we ask for. We just, we trust you to make the priorities that you see are needed in our community. and we'll make the decision. Before I stop and ask for questions, the mayor asked me to bring up a couple of things. The mayor is at his son's graduation in San Diego, so he couldn't be with us today, but he wanted to bring up a topic that he feels like we need to address as a state, and that is the semi-trucks on the interstate. In trying to come up with laws that require them to drive in the slower lane, because we are noticing quite a few accidents involving semi-trucks, a lot of them fatalities. So he feels like we need to address that as a state. The other thing he asked me to bring up is if Milan was requesting money for the wastewater treatment plant. The city of Grants, when we built our plant, Milan was asked if they were going to participate in that. It was built with the intention to serve not only our community, but their community. We've had some issues over the years. When I came on board, the current manager wanted us to look at our billing. The billing had gone up prior to my coming on. Bob Harasic and Marcella Sandoval sat down and came up with an agreement. The amount went up quite a bit at that time, and the reason being is that Milan was not paying the true cost of what it cost the city to serve their citizens. So they agreed on an amount it would go up. When I came on, it was a flat fee at that time. Marcella wanted us to work on using meter reading. A meter has always been installed, but they were guesstimating how much Milan was using. So we had the meter calibrated at that time, and that's what we've been using. In August, Milan's meter reading went up substantially. So our staff brought in the company that services that meter. They recalibrated it, and they indicated that it was under reading. It was not over reading, it was under reading. So they calibrated it about a month ago. So this last reading went up even more. We have no control really on how much is coming through the meter. Something is happening in Milan, it's on their side, so it would be up to them to determine, you know, who's putting extra in there. Is it the truck stops? You know, is it private haulers that are dumping into their manholes? What is it? And we're willing to work with them on that and trying to discover what it is, but their meter reading has gone way up. They're being charged the same as other citizens, which they hadn't previously. So Paul is correct in that the amount has gone up because they weren't paying what our citizens in Grants were paying for sewer service. And now they're paying exactly what our citizens are paying by meter.
Right, thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. As far as the semi-trucks, I agree with the mayor. I had it close to death. I'm the closest I've ever been. That's like this 2 weeks ago on the interstate. Had to actually go on the medium at 76 miles an hour to hang on and fortunately I didn't slip. But anyway, my understanding, Senator Munoz and I have talked, and he's running a bill similar to what Oklahoma does, where they have to drive 55 not in the passing lane, they have to stay on the right. And so he's looking at a bill to run that. When it comes to the sewer and stuff, us as legislators, I think that's something you guys need to work offline, and I don't think we need to be getting involved in that, in your business and that, you know, that's why you have your elected officials. And, but it's something that needs to resolve, because I always keep in mind that it's the citizens of both communities that matter. So, when it comes to First Street, are you getting state money from that too, because that's a state road, right?
Yes, we are, and we have gotten quite a bit of state money throughout the years.
Okay. And my next question is the environmental issue resolved? Because I know they had stopped because of all the whatever EPA or somebody.
It's not totally resolved, but they are allowing us to do construction. We can't dig down below a certain level because we can't get into the chlorinated plume, so that the Environment Department is allowing us to do construction.
And I don't know if, thank you, Laura, and I don't know if you can answer this, but is that ever going to get resolved? What are they doing to?
It looks like we have 5 to 10 more years. So about every year, for sure, it might be 6 months, they come in and do testing. And that's some of the cones you'll see on First Street, where they come in and test the soil and the groundwater. But We've been told we've got 5 to 10 more years, and they're anticipating it will be resolved at that
It
time.
just fixes itself? Because they're not doing anything, right?
No, it slowly dissipates, I guess. Mark might be able to tell you more, he may have more expertise, but the material that's down in the ground, it's in the soil and the water, and I guess over time it slowly wears away and dilutes so that it's not a hazard.
But it doesn't affect our drinking water.
No. No, our drinking water comes from a different area.
All right, and my last question is on the street vehicles. Those are owned by the city. The city has their own street department. They don't contract like they do the parks.
No, there are crew.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one question. This 2 million will complete First Street once and for all.
Yes, it will, yay.
Okay, so, it's been an ongoing thing, considering this is my 10th year, I'm going on Erie Land, and I'm still, every time I drive down First Street, I think to myself, I've been on rest roads that are better than this. And it's rough, because obviously it is the first connection people have with the city of Grants when they come into town, and they have to go off of Santa Fe. They go down First Street, and that's not a very good impression.
Yes.
So I really am in favor of seeing if we can complete this project. My one question, of course you know that I'm an old car salesman, and I always wonder, we're looking at Dodge Durangos and Chevrolets. We don't have a Dodge Durango and a Chevrolet dealership in town. And I always wonder, does the city of Grants know how much tax revenue is generated by the one dealership that is left in town? Does the city of Grants know how much they pay in property taxes? And the only reason that I think about this is, since I've been here, we lost the Chevy dealership and we lost the Dodge dealership. And every time a vehicle breaks down on that interstate, and it's a Chevrolet now, it doesn't come to Grants. If it's a warranty problem, it hits to Gallup or Albuquerque, a
Right.
Chevrolet or a Dodge. A Ford breaks down on the interstate, it is towed into the Ford dealership. Guess who gets the gross receipts tax off of that repair? City of Grants does. And that's the only reason that I think, why do our entities, and I see it every day, I mean, even in the village of Milan, I see those Ford trucks driving up and down my street with Chalmers Ford on there. And I think to myself, well, why don't our local entities know that there's one dealership in town, and why do they not know how much tax revenue is generated by that one dealership?
So the way it works is the procurement code says we have to put it out to bid. And so when we put it out to bid, I know the county has in years past, so has the city. Our local Ford dealerships bids are nowhere near what the dealerships in Albuquerque did. And we can give a 5% credit to local vendors, but it's not even within that range. And so my experience has been the last few times Ford hasn't even put in a bid or local, because it's very hard for a smaller rural community dealership to compete with a big dealership in Albuquerque. And it's unfortunate that the procurement laws say we have to go with the lowest bidder. And we have to get at least 3 bids. We have to put it out to bid for something with that amount.
So do you advertise the bids, or you just do a phone bid?
We advertise them, yes, in the local paper and in Albuquerque and Gallup. And a lot of times, I know in the past years, we've gone off of the state contract, which they bid out projects as well.
I understand state contract, there's a long line coming to us, purchasing officer. And when we went out to bid, the local dealerships got to buy, sell vehicles to the county, and they were right within no more than 2% of the cost of buying in Albuquerque. And to me, that was justified, because if you have a warranty problem, you have to take that Chevrolet all the way to Albuquerque to get it fixed. While if you have a warranty problem and you've got a vehicle that is bought here, you don't have to drive all the way 60 miles to get it fixed or get it towed 60 miles to get it fixed. So it was justifiable to me at that time to do 2% above. So I just wondered about that, and I was thinking, and then I see the spec says Chevrolet and it says Dodge. So you're specifying that that's what you want. So there's no way that a Ford dealership can sell you a Dodge. There's no way a Ford dealership can sell you a Chevrolet.
Right, I believe they looked at the state contracts, and our local dealership isn't on the state contract.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
But it would be one of the big outfits, but they can bid. But they cannot bid on the Chevy or Dodge.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, oh, good point.
I do know that Gallup buys everything in Gallup.
Do they?
They do. But they got, I think their home rule, is that correct? And that's why they can do it.
Their home rule as well, but we still have to follow procurement, state procurement law.
I guess Gallup does it, huh?
We'll have to see how they do
Yeah, we
that.
can look into that.
Yeah,
Maybe the local dealer needs to be competitive.
Well, that's possible. But they don't get an option to bid. And I understand that they haven't been active on that.
Even before I was with the city, I sat at some county meetings where they were upset they didn't get the bid, but their bid was not anywhere close to what was obtained at Albuquerque, unfortunately. We definitely see the benefit of buying local. It's to our benefit. As you said, we receive the gross receipts off of that. So our bread is better.
Just curious.
Yeah.
No, I sold a lot of cars in my lifetime.
Yes, sir.
On First Street, Laura, it was brought to my attention, probably a year or so ago, that they were thinking of making First Street a two-way street again. Whatever happened to that?
We talked about that because we felt it would help business, for people not to have to drive around the block to go to the stores they're wanting to go to. So Mario helped advise us that if we change them to two ways, that we would not be eligible for some of the state road funds on Second Street, because then it wouldn't be tied to a state road. So we decided it was worth getting the state funding rather than making it. But we were also told after it's constructed, then later, we could go back and look at making it two-way.
Because I was gonna ask, if you're talking about road funding, that's one thing, but the livelihood of people that have businesses on First Street are hurting because of the way the street is now. What balances, what you're gonna do there with the people that are using on their businesses on that street. Because I asked the Deputy Secretary Bufan about it, and he said it would be no big issue, it would just be a matter of changing signs and that, the city stepping up to see if they wanna do it. Because, I think that would be a good thing. Because,
To make it two-way.
make it a two-way like you used to be, because you used to have a lot of traffic on the street, and now it's kind of whittled down to nothing. Now, one more question. If you do this this road, are we gonna do all the infrastructure underneath it?
Yes.
Before it gets done, 'cause it seems in grants, and you know it, and we all know it, we repave something, and 2 weeks later, they're digging it out with the water line busted underneath.
Well, that's been our priority, is to review the infrastructure underneath first, before we do any paving.
And on just a comment on the other issue of the city with Milan, it would be nice if they come to some kind of agreement and have it fixed, because bumping heads with anybody is not solving the matter, it's making it worse, I think. Thank you, Laura.
Maybe in our next boom, we'll have to go back to one-way street.
That's
We
right.
will have it. Reagan will come back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. We're getting close to the noon hour, but let's keep on pushing through. We need to stay, just for everybody's sake, need to stay a little bit more concise, a little bit tighter on the time frame. We do have quite a few people. I'd like to invite up next Cibola County, Kate Fletcher, the county manager. Kate?
I will be very, very fast, I promise. I need to meet you and introduce myself and the questions. Thank you for coming, everyone, and how important this is for everybody. You hear all these needs before me, and I'm like, yes, we need a soccer field, all that. So thank you very much for coming and taking time to listen to our needs and you know, priorities we're going through. So, Cibola County, oh, this is my team, I apologize, I'm written with them because I'm new, and I want you to have your questions answered, so they're here to help me review the right decisions to make. So, our priorities, 2019, to plan, design, renovate, construct Cibola County Complex building, which is the building on Roosevelt that
It's a Firestone. That's the one.
Because I'll tell you something really important. This big building costs us a fortune, and we're trying to consolidate. We have 3 huge buildings, so we're trying to save money, consolidate, and utilize this building the best way, and that means we fill it. So, saying that, the building B to create a new public safety and emergency facility building. We're asking for $2 million. It's a lot, it's needed. We can find funding also, like Laura said, we can find other funding if the citizens help us move forward with that path. Number 2, the plan, design, and construct County Road, bridge, and drainage improvements to County Road 1 and County Road 18B. With the pictures, which you'll see in a minute of that PowerPoint. There you go. That's the road. And
Where's that?
That's it, that's that way. It's in between the land grant and the L park.
Oh,
it's 4.1 miles, and it's going to be worse and worse and worse. And one of these issues is it's the only, they get stuck. If we don't fix this, if we don't address this, people are going to get stuck in that area. They won't be able to get out. So when we prioritize, that's huge. Anyway, number 3, purchase heavy equipment for Cibola County Maintenance Department. This is going to need because we have, like I said, 3 huge buildings and we have a maintenance department that does everything. The public safety facility. There it is. It is gutted in there. What I'm hearing is when this was purchased, this building, that was planned to do it as well, but we ran out of money. So we're thinking that we can utilize what we have.
it's gonna cost you $2 million.
I think about 1.8 to 2 million.
So, when you're on,
Yes.
so you are planning, so you're planning on a public safety building, that's what you're, just putting in a whole new building there,
No, we're going to use the
Just
inside.
office.
It's going to be offices.
just offices alone.
Judy?
So when we did the entire complex, we had the schematic plan, the design done for the entire complex. When we did this design, it was for dispatch and emergency manager. Dispatch has a new location where they can go to. So now we want to put public safety, make this into a public safety facility. So we would need design funding. As Kate already said, we've already done the complete demo. And as you can see, this picture was just taken about a week ago. And we've had it all closed up, but the inside is ready to go for construction. We just, now that we're changing what we're going to do there, we need design and planning funds initially.
So explain to me what public safety building is, I mean, who's gonna be out?
Emergency management and law enforcement.
So your sheriff's
Yes.
department will be there,
Yes.
and your emergency
Yes.
management. And you have parking for their vehicles and everything,
Yes.
and the ability to secure it.
And secure.
And we would have to fix that. As you can see, that, like I said, that's a recent picture, so we would have to secure it in the back as well, for safety. And in the plans that we currently have, we do have planning for fencing and security in the back, but that would have to be revised for the vehicles, for the sheriff's vehicles. And there's 3 large bays also, so they could put some fire trucks, different equipment in there as well.
I would like to add that right now the sheriff's department is in the old detention property.
the magistrate court.
And we're getting out frames to sell, so this is kind of us consolidating and trying to be proactive and smart.
Will you be bringing in your dispatch center to the same building, or is that gonna be?
Thank you. We're planning on putting dispatch here. Because there's a lot of security and we're getting upgraded. So
What if you bring the dispatch center in, which is the whole county doing, what's gonna happen to that county? And we talked about, you're not a real estate,
we're not realtor value. So we need to get the information to the commission to make good decisions and choices. And in fact, it's costing us a fortune.
what is it costing you to keep that building, the whole county building,
The 515.
the one there at High Street and?
So on a monthly basis for overhead, it's at least 18,000.
Wow.
Burn it to do.
It's huge.
And it costs a lot for when you first team to go out and take care of the lawn and all of the other.
You know how many times that building's been renovated?
And, one more question on last year we gave you, I think, 185,000 for.
Thank you. Yes, we have received everything that you gave us. So thank you.
So on the, if I can just update you, on the road vehicles for the road department, we're already, that one, I think we're 90% encumbered. And for the sheriff's vehicle, we're already 99% encumbered. And on the encumbrance for the road department, we've already requested reimbursement on it. So now we just need to encumber the rest of it, which Gary, the road superintendent, is working on to encumber just a small little portion that's left. So we're really almost spent on both of those, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
By that last blade, huh?
One of the dump trucks I always complain about.
Manager, how many other properties do we have in our county that we need to dispose of for?
The main, I'm finding new things out every day, but right now I'm really focusing on the large ones. With this big building that we're going to be paying for forever, let's utilize every single foot of it. Let's consolidate all the departments and put them in either one or two. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to get like 95% of our departments in this building, next to it, or close by.
And one more question, Smith, how long are they contracted for?
They're actually not contract, we're doing a month to month, but what we're trying to do is, when I came in, I had to prioritize the most important thing was to fix and go on the audit and address them. They do release, we do receive money and revenue on a year, quite a bit, 130,000. So saying that, we will be going out for a proposal to see if Smith can do a yearly or 2 year. What I really want to do is sell it. But they're not interested, and we think about what's best for the county residents, and Smith is very popular.
What, I don't understand. I'm not a contractor, I'm not, where it would cost $2 million to do that work. Yeah.
Was it even told?
Everything you're told.
No,
We've got the plan.
we've got an estimate, and it was from a year ago, for over almost 800,000, but that didn't include equip. It just included the basic construction. So now that it's going to be the sheriff's, we don't know exactly if that will be more or how much more that would be.
What's the equipment part of it?
For instance, dispatch was, they have specific types of equipment that they need.
Oh, so it's equipment too, it's just not.
Yeah, no,
Building.
it's the entire thing.
Oh, okay.
And like
That makes more
yours,
sense.
It's in furniture, it's everything.
Because-
Yeah, it's everything.
Another Taj Mahal. On the road, where is that, the one in Soyota?
That's at the land grant, in between the land grant and the
What
outboard.
would give how much traffic is there?
Well, that's the only way Sandoval can get in there. They border us right here at Marcus.
Yeah.
That's the only way. They gotta do I-40 all the way around through there.
The
When they work-
Sandoval?
They're the ones that have,
Sandoval
yeah.
So we're gonna fix a road for Sandoval?
Well, we're fixing it for the wind farm as well as the ranchers, and there is people that travel that every day. There are people that use it in Marcus that come through there every day. They cannot do that exit around like they used to do for Rio Puerto when they had that mine running.
Yeah.
That road is completely washed out.
It's an economic development road because of the PNM solar farm and the
Solar
wind farm.
farm.
No, we don't wanna go there. They say they create jobs, I don't know where. Tell me what they're creating jobs. Where, how much does that cost? I can't read this, this is too long.
Which
I
one?
don't know the cost on that road.
3 million?
It's three. Road 1 and 18B.
There's two different roads that you're looking at.
Yes.
The same.
And where's that one at?
This one's up on Noble Canyon, La Jara, well, it's a La Jara subdivision. It used to be a school bus route. It's still on there as a school bus route. So this thing has been like this since I've been here. It's got a gap from one end to the other, about a foot, to it varies, and it's across the road. In the years past, all they did is put stuff in there to keep it from eroding. It's on top of sandstone. So that, through the years, it eroded. Yeah, they made a cavity so big, it's like 30 feet deep, and it's across the whole road. The road is still passable, but
Again, we have 323 miles of road for the county.
No, I know you have a lot of roads, but
This,
the one in Sorrento still gets me to me, because then Nextera and PNM pay some of that.
well, that's what I said, I mean, we'll be asking them for revenue too, for money to do this. Absolutely, they need to help us. All of us.
If you reach out to Sandoval County, and they're trying to help, I know it's in the wrong county, but if you're using it more than anybody else,
I think we're using it more than anybody
Yeah,
else.
we are.
And
Anna?
we've asked, I believe previous county managers have asked Sandoval County for help, but we have not received it.
I'm surprised.
well, I know a couple years ago when they did that, they put a stop to that to see if we can get Marcus involved where their county is to help fix this problem, but there was nothing set in stone about it.
just one more question, I know we just cut short, but on you, Mr. Porter, what's the size of your equipment right now? Your road equipment, because I know that's not the only road, you don't have thousands of miles of road, but what is your size of your equipment?
My equipment's old, it is old, but with Kate here, we're building it up, thanks to her and Judy. We got a new dump truck with that money you guys got, we're getting lifts. In fact, we just talked to Wagner about a lease program for some more
To
graders,
save more money.
save money on our side, and,
We're thinking ahead.
And it's the money last year, because I think I gave 110,000.
Yes, that was.
According to the citizen over you and Representative Garcia,
There's about one also.
somebody wrote a letter to the editor thanking the senator and the representative. They left myself and Senator Munoz out completely. They were just thankful to two people, not the other two.
The citizen, there you go. That's it.
And it was not the citizen, somebody wrote the letter too.
We won't let that happen.
the equipment I have, it's old already. And like Kate, we're working on an agreement with Wagner to update those and put the ones on auction that we don't use. So,
And prioritize the roads. This road issue, we have to prioritize. We have to start looking at what's the most important, what biggest roads, the most used roads first, so we have a plan. And we're not going to react. We cannot react anymore. We've got to move ahead so we can absolutely get them maintained. This last one here is for maintenance for our maintenance department. I've been here for 9 months, and we have 3 members of staff for our maintenance, and they do they do such a wonderful job. But they have the 3 buildings first, and they do the outsides, and they do the grass, and they do everything. And they do it by hand, so when leaks through, you know, pipes burst, there they are with their shovels, and we need to help them, we need to assist this, we have 3 people. And that would really assist, not just the maintenance, but we can utilize it in other ways too.
How much is that?
It's a stick, well, we're looking at a skid start, and it's skid
Oh,
start,
yeah.
yeah. And then, well, I want to add something to this. All these needs, I don't know how you can keep up with it. I don't know how you can actually say, what are we gonna, how are we gonna give to everybody? There's a lot, what I just heard from the city and the village, there's a lot of need that is, could really help a lot of people. As a county, we're an umbrella of everybody. And so, with the roads, we have to take responsibility for those roads. We have to own them to fix them. And so when we sit down with our engineers and our road crew, this road, the road 1 and for the 18B, every time we sit there and do some safety. And we're getting to the point where we'll have to close it. And that's the reality of not being able to afford to pay for that 1 4-point mile.
Just a comment, you know, I know you've been doing a good job, you know, Gary, you know, I know you're doing fantastic with what you have to work. Juanita, I've known her all my life, I've seen her, I have property on Long Road, I've seen her out there with a shovel, covering holes or digging up weeds or whatever it takes to make it look nice, you know, and you know, people need to appreciate the help behind the county instead of just, we did it, you know. It's just like in Santa Fe, if it wasn't for our staffing, we wouldn't survive it, you know, and it is all about staffing, that's where your people come in. You just said, you know, you have all these buildings and you have 3 people working it, and if they don't step up to the plate, nobody else will. So thank you, Juanita, thank you, Gary.
That's what I think.
Christmas decorations at 515.
I know, but
Christmas decorations at the old complex. You know,
Put
when
that
those,
on the list, Juanita.
when we bought those pine trees, those blue spruces,
Yeah.
they were 10-foot tall each. We paid $100 per foot. And they were brought in by Sammy Lynn and planted there. They were 10 foot tall. How long ago was that? Look at the size of those trees now.
yeah, everything's overgrown now.
It's awesome. Thank you.
I would like to know where Representative Garcia has staff. Yes, we are the staff.
Well, in my office.
Welcome to our world.
I'm doing Milan.
I've seen the graphs wherever he finds them all the way.
But it is all about the people that help you.
Yep.
Yes, it is, definitely. I can't do anything without you guys.
You know, that goes for everybody, you know, the sheriff, the chief, it goes on, that's the same thing everywhere.
You know, the county's helped all these entities throughout the years. The city, the village, everybody. We're not just the county, we help everybody. The schools.
And we can help even more too. That's what I'm looking forward to, working with everybody. And I think it's gonna get better, we're gonna get better.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
So I'm glad I'm not in a popularity contest and you're not kind of vote against me on The Voice or something like that. But I think I understand the senator needs to leave even before 1, is that right? So we need to kind of plow through to make sure that everybody gets their stuff in front. Is that okay with everyone, that we keep your stomachs growling? We'll keep on moving. Next up is the Seaboard Communities Economic Development Foundation. We have Executive Director Eileen Yorgo here to help us with that one.
Good afternoon.
legislators and guests, thank you for having me here. Eileen Yarborough with Seaboard Community Economic Development. I represent the village of Milan, the city of Grants, and Seaboard County. And I have a priority for each one of those that I represent. And then also listed there is an item that is not for capital outlay. So first with the Village of Milan, we're requesting a planning grant for a phase 2 study. I have currently contracted a phase 1 study that we're expecting to be finished by the end of January. Knowing that we're expecting that completed work, we'd like to continue to move forward with the phase 2 study that would incorporate the refinery project into the industrial park project, bringing the two together and looking for ways to, one, utilize the RFP from the phase 1 study and look at a marketing plan to market the park, market the refinery project, and possibly even become a BNSF certified site. And so that is the priority for the Village of Milan. We're looking for planning grant funding for a phase 2 study. For the City of Grants, we're requesting planning grant funding for a phase 2 study. This would be for the Cibola Industrial Park located on the east side of Grants. We have an anchor tenant who has purchased land and will be moving to the industrial park and will be bringing fiber to the park. So at this point, we'll need to determine how we will deploy that utility or that infrastructure to the remainder of the park, and also look at developing an RFP to market the park to attract other tenants as well. Also for the City of Grants, this is not a request, but it is an appropriation bill that we're working on for SolarWorks that would be sponsored by Representative Garcia, and the amount of $1.3 million for the entire state. At this point, we are the only existing program. We have commitments for 3 new to come on board. We will determine if they are still planning to do so, and we'll adjust that amount accordingly depending on how many plan to come on board. And so we're working with Representative Garcia and his staff to make that. And your staff.
Staff you have over there.
And finally, we are requesting planning grant funding for Cibola County for a phase 1 study for the road to La Mosca. This is a concerted effort on behalf of all of the entities in the community, but to expand on our assets in county, our national parks, forests, and such. And again, it would be a phase 1 study to determine if that is feasible. The listing above it, House Memorial 7241, is an existing project that we are working on now in collaboration with McKinley County. We would look to be requesting funding for a phase 2 study that would look at developing out and attracting business to the industry cluster in Pruitt. Yes, the land is located in McKinley County and the jobs would be in McKinley County, but as all of you know, 90% of El Segundo, Biocapel, and Escalante's workforce comes from Cibola County. So any jobs created from that industry cluster would more likely come from our citizens being employed there. And so this is a partnership with McKinley County. Representative Lundstrom is working on the effort for it to be funded through House appropriations in the amount of $250,000. And we're hoping to work with McKinley County and be the fiscal agent of that. And those are all of our requests that I have. I have one final reminder. Please mark your calendars for February 7th, and that will be Cibola County Day of the Have you answered any questions?
Good question. On that phase 2, what kind of money are you looking at for that refinery project?
Oh, Well, we are told that a phase one, which we are in the process of now, typically runs anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000. We contracted a company for $60,000. Moving forward for the phase two, we were told it would be up to $250,000 because it involved an expansive marketing project and also acting on the RFP to engage independents to locate.
And
And
how's
also
the whole phase one looking pretty promising?
It looks pretty promising. We're completing the committee work at this point, which is very crucial. The point of the committee work is to determine if the county as a whole, city, county, and the 23, or city, village, and the 23 localities in Cibola County are in support of this project. The consultant recommended that if the whole county is not on board with the project, that they would not recommend us moving forward. So we're doing a deep dive into the community and soliciting support from all of our community businesses, organizations, and entities to show that we do have the support to move forward with phase two.
You do have quite a bit of support for it right now?
We do, but we'll be turning all that information over to the consultant and we'll make the final determination.
Because we really need to get something going for a community because we can't keep on going the way we're going because everything's shutting down on us and that would be a big old boost for the whole county and that'd be a boost for the state actually.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious about one thing. When you're doing this study, are you looking at the refineries down the road and see how they are acting, how much their capacity is and what their production is, and if they produce more, or are they, is there enough oil to keep that one going to where we can have another one here?
Representative Ocon, what we have been told today is that a refinery in Grants, Cibola County, or Grants, Milan, Cibola County would not affect the refinery in Jamestown. There would be no adverse effects. In fact, it would probably end up being a complement because anything that they store there could possibly be refined here as a different type of product than what they're refining in Gallup. And then we also have the ability to refine products that are now being taken to Texas to refine from the southeast part of the state. Instead of going 12 hours, they could come 4 or 5 hours here, refine, and the state would keep all of that money instead of us paying Texas to refine it and then bringing it back here.
Well, we don't have enough refineries.
No, we do
That's why
not.
they all go to Houston,
Correct.
even in the country. But logistics is going to be an issue getting the oil up into this area. We don't have any oil. It has to come from the southeast of the northwest part of the state, and that's going to be interesting how this plan addresses that. The other thing that I would say on that, Solar Works, I think you need to focus on Cibola County. Don't worry about the rest of the state. Because you're not, and I'm going to be blunt with you, you ain't going to get 1.1 million. Because we're not even spending what we have out there now. So just keep that in mind. I've had long discussions with the director at LSC. So.
On the refinery, I heard from a gentleman that works for, Western Refinery, they've changed a couple of times, and they did say that this refinery would happen, we could refine other products other than just diesel and that kind of stuff. So, I really hope it happens. I'm a full support of it, and if we all keep together, maybe it will happen. And on Solar Works, like the senator said, I've told you already before, why are we worried about other people? We need to worry about right here. So it's okay.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you very much. Next up, President of the New Mexico State University Grants Campus, Dr. Mickey Best. Mickey, good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here representing the higher education hub of Cibola County, New Mexico State Grants Campus. We are very fortunate, in my opinion, to work with so many great entities right here in Cibola County. The college does serve a bit of McKinley as well in terms of dual credit. And Catherine, just a little bit there, so just some information up front. By the way, I also brought, if you're interested at the end here, the most recent IPEDS or Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System information. Literally, I just got this yesterday. So that's updated information, and it's roughly 1 year behind is how they did the reporting. So, all right, let's go to the first slide. Always important to start with what you're about. And this is our mission statement. We provide an accessible, quality education through innovative teaching and learning that promotes respect and service for our diverse students and communities. Our vision statement: to embrace innovation in teaching and learning, to promote a sustainable, key word, sustainable, prosperous community. Our new building that many of you have watched happening on the campus. Just a very quick update on this. That particular building, before it was named what it's named right now, is our Teacher and Healthcare Education and Child Development Center. That for education, we have elementary and early childhood education, and there's some basic enrollments there. More to the next slide, rather than read through those. The elementary early education, the curriculum assessment is it's a New Mexico State requirement for people to go through that curriculum assessment and be familiar with developmentally appropriate curriculum. This will also be a lab school. By that I mean that individuals working on master's degrees or doctorates are able to use this particular location, the Child Development Center or Child Care Center, as a lab. The way that's done is through permission from parents or guardians, where the students and the children that are enrolled can be a part of that.
Dr. Best?
Yes, sir.
Can we just go to the priorities?
Sure. Yeah. One thing just to lead into that I do want to say is, in a time where enrollments naturally are down, we've developed a brand new enrollment and retention strategy and plan that we are implementing actually in the summer going into this semester. And going forward, we are right now, we have the greatest increase in headcount and the lowest detriment of student credit hours in the entire MSU system. Go ahead and move forward right here. Okay, back up one, I think. Yeah, okay, one more. Back to that picture. There we go. The completion date for this, for the building that is now the Lucy Bell Ma Hall, that has been adopted on Main is this two-part building. On the far side, this is our Child Development Center, and then education, nursing, certified nursing assistant, and elementary and general education will be taught. Next slide. This is the back of the Child Development Center that is open. Capacity-wise, 95 students. In the past, we only were able to take in 75, and they're on track to hit that 95. That construction is continuing. This part is done, and we're moving forward. Go ahead. Keep going. This is about the plan. Let's go ahead and bounce, as the senator said. All right. Projects in process. GEO bond money is coming forward to address, the first thing is our Martinez Hall Energy Control. If you have ever been on the campus and you've looked at some of these areas, this is vintage 1970. So it's getting to the point where it has to be updated and it has to be upgraded. Next slide. The Martinez Hall roof repair and replacement. It's interesting, last year when I presented to the LFC for the update there, Dr. Burke made the statement, he's absolutely right, the theme of the day are roofs. There's not a roof of higher education in the state that is not in similar shape to this. As we all know, up here in northwest New Mexico, with the elements as they are, the damage happens quickly. Next slide. This is a partial repair replacement, just one section. Next slide. The next big project that will be coming, this will be for our next GEO bond 2018 funds, is our parking lot. The problem with that is when it was constructed, they went just to the clay. They did not go any deeper. And so when we do this, we've already cored down to 9 inches, and we're going to be going down, removing all of that and starting from base moving forward. This is going to be about $1 million project, $1.2 million by itself, we believe. Future plans, next slide. In Fidel, this is the gymnasium center. If you've been in this facility, if you scratch yourself on something, you probably are going to need to go see a doctor. The restrooms, showers, and the locker rooms are indeed vintage 1970. They are, for the most part, inoperable at this point. Now, some people would say, well, that's one of the original Job Corps buildings, and that's the problem. Well, that's true. That campus, when it started, had 9, I believe it was, or 11 buildings from Job Corps. This is one of the original buildings. And there have been a few cosmetic fixes over the years, but it's time. 2 water heaters are located upstairs, no water softener, no privacy in the locker rooms. It says showers essentially unusable. They are unusable, I guarantee it. You can tell that by turning it on and seeing the brown to black water coming out. Next slide. Fidel Hall, here's a picture of that. You can see, it's a little hard to see on the left there how rough they are. And then on the right side, the actual restroom part of that. The FCI, 34% maybe usable space. Next slide. The basketball court. One thing I want to point out here is when I presented this to the LSC, the idea that went forward, and this is something that needs to be carefully looked at. We are not talking about a complete replacement of that floor. I support a non-full replacement because we do not have athletics. We do teach physical education on this particular court, but it needs some sanding in areas, board replacement in areas, and some leveling, and that's it. To replace that floor from scratch is going to be over $1 million, easily. So we're not talking about a full scale go forward on that. Next slide. You can see, if you've seen the exterior of the buildings with the stucco, it is breaking apart over the years. The weather has gotten in there and has really torn into it. So this is a big need for many of our buildings. Next slide. Another picture of Martinez Hall, another area. Electrical system. This is located in Martinez Hall, the main academic building. Aged and aging. Again, 1968 through 1972, and aging. Next. All right, this is a little hard to see. Let me move out here just a little bit. These are the needs and where we stand currently. So for 1920, we have the Fidel Hall renovation. That's the basketball court restoration, refinish, move the water heaters and plumbing to the first floor, renovate the restrooms, locker rooms, replace second floor lighting and ductwork. The master plan for that is $150,000 for a total of $1 million. I've already been told by the analyst, Mr. Valenzuela with the LSC, that we are looking at $888,000. That's it for this particular phase. 888. I do not know the formulaic behind that or formula behind that, but that's what I was advised that we're probably going to see. The $150,000 for the plans will occur, but it's a total of $888,000. In 2021, this will be the 2020 GEO bond, the continuation Martinez Hall renovations, including the exterior stucco for $2.4 million, and then you can see the others going forward from there. At this point in time, we want to work with the legislature to understand what the needs are, and as we move forward with these, as they are presented through higher education, LSC, the various groups have all come together, the New Mexico Association of Community Colleges, the New Mexico Independent Community Colleges, CUPS, which is the College University Presidents in the state for research. They have all come together with their recommendations in terms of new money, redistribution of money, compensation requests, and then a big request that all except one of those groups is going for is funding for dual credit. we do not receive, except a very, very small portion of dual credit funds. And I'll just put it to you in black and white. For every credit hour, we receive $1.50. That's it. So if you have a class of 35 students taking dual credit, at 3 credits, you're getting $1.50, $1.50, $1.50. That's it. To higher education. I'm not here bad-mouthing PED, Public Education Department. I am not for removing funds there, but I certainly support equality and equity in terms of funding of dual credit. What happens with that is the college teaches a dual credit course that may be at a high school or it may be on the campus itself. If you have 15 students, we are paying that instructor in the neighborhood of $1,800. And so with dual credit funding, we get $1.50 per credit hour on that. That's a fast flash through. Any questions that I can try to answer for you? And I'll certainly be a concerned thing during
Just explain what Mr. Valenzuela's talking about. Where's the rest of that? That's GO bond money, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Where's the rest of it going?
Where is it going?
Yeah, it was, the GO was approved for $1 million.
Right. As I said earlier, I do not know the formula behind that, but Mr. Valenzuela and actually Harry, Dr. Rommel with HED, the finance, institutional finance, he actually is the one who told me that after they calculated $888,000 would come into play. The original request was $4 million, based upon the initial design.
Difference to administrative costs for the bonding company and all that? Or what?
I think his ask was $1 million and he received only 800.
Oh, you received it? Oh, I thought you were.
Yeah, we are receiving
$1 million and you were.
Yeah, we requested $1 million, we're receiving 888.
That's what's going in?
And that's what's going to be recommended, that's right, for that sector year.
We'll fix that.
Any questions?
Just a comment, for all the veterans, I don't know how many veterans are in here, but we've been working on a deal with the branch college here to have a place for veterans to go, not hang out, to go, they'll get tutored as part of if they're looking for education or benefits or whatever they need. Mr. Best has stepped up to that plate and we're gonna get that thing done, just to let you guys know. Thank you, Mr. Best.
One other comment I just very quickly wanted to make is going forward, I've talked with Senator Sanchez about this, with the prisons here and with the hardship basically for folks to have to travel to the state academy. We're hoping that we can continue to look at the possibility of bringing that back. In the budget, what I've done is kept the program development money that we had when we had the Correction Officer Training Academy before. That funding base is still there. It's not much. It's in the low 30s. But if we can bring some other additional funds to that, I absolutely can see where we have the space. We have the original space that we used before. We have the office space and classroom space available that we can with some shifting, can make use of that to go back to the officer training. So we hope that that is hopefully something that we can look at going forward. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug.
Well, I'm gonna have to excuse myself, I've got to be somewhere at 1 o'clock.
You can be there.
Yep.
We just told everybody here how to find you, so don't be
That's it.
Thank you. This gives you 30% more power than you had a minute ago.
No, we already had that before you left.
Okay.
We have received any lottery.
Alton Autry, the superintendent of schools for the Grand Sela County Schools.
Again, I'll be brief. I did want to leave with you some resolutions that the school board has presented, and those are some items that we're working on. We'll be visiting with you, and I also want to thank you for being here today, showing up and being here, and that's half the battle sometimes. And so thank you, and thank you for reaching out and working on some of the projects and the previous support that the district has received. In the short time that I've been the interim superintendent, we're working on basically two big topics. One is academics, and that's what the resolutions mainly focus on. So I'd ask you to review those in a lot of discussion. And then Ramon Martinez, he'll handle our, I understand it's more about capital requests and capital projects. And so he'll have in his pamphlet go over some pretty specific priorities that we're looking at. But the two big ones are academics, again, resolutions, and then life, health, safety, and security. That's a big topic, and I want to thank the city grants and for the local law enforcement in the area for reaching out to us and working with us to make sure that we have presence during the high activity, 7:30 to 8:30 and 3:30 to, or 2:30 to 3:30, those really risky times, and working with us to put an SRO back at Los Alamitos Middle School and high school. As you go into the legislative session on the Yazi Martinez case and the school funding, I would ask you to look at risk category, which we serve a high population of at-risk students, and moving that factor for at-risk on the SCG from 0.10 to 0.25 that it talks about. I hope you'll consider that, and if that's somewhere, and I think what Senator Sanchez would like to hear, that requires no new revenue. So, but it's something that would be a big benefit for our district and would lead the outcome of part of the Yazi Martinez. But I'll let Mr. Martinez address some of the capital, and thank you for this opportunity.
So, excuse me, what you have before you is just some information regarding 3 focus areas that we have identified as far as the school district that we would like to address in the next few fiscal years. Specifically in the life, health, safety, and security piece, our focus has become more comprehensive in looking at whether our facilities are adequately secure, they have proper fire alarms, they have proper access, there's perimeter control, there's building control. And so we did participate in requesting from the state under their appropriation that they awarded under, I think it was Senate Bill 124 and House Bill 130, and those were through application process. We generated about a $120,000 in award, and that went specifically towards access controls, towards vestibules, and towards communications. We haven't undergone those projects yet. We're still waiting for the MOUs from the Public School Facilities Authority. But once we get those underway, we'll go ahead and start those projects to be completed, hopefully before the end of this fiscal year. So those are kind of the main pieces that we've identified. In addition to that, under the life, health, and safety security piece, the fire alarm systems, we've got a lot of systems that are failing or just end of life. And so trying to find an integrated solution that can work not only with the control systems, but also with the egress for students. So upgrading those fire alarm panels and upgrading any of those systems that can support that. And then lastly, the life, health, safety, and security, the rehabilitation, continuing with the NMDOT projects. We've been partnering with the city of Grants to look at some potential improvements at Grants High and some of those projects that we currently have, that they currently have underway. But in continuing those pavement and rehabilitation projects, we're seeking to continue that support in those funds. Under that umbrella, we would seek $250,000 as far as supporting the life, health, safety, and security. We utilize a lot of our SB9 funds to mitigate these issues, but obviously that hasn't been sufficient to supplement those capital project needs. The next item is the Cordero septic tank system. That system has been in place for over 15 or approximately 15 years. In 2003, when the school was rebuilt, that system itself was redesigned, and from then till now, it just has been failing. It's either been a function of the leach field or the actual control panels, certain parts of the system that have just failed. And from then till now, for the past 7 years, I should say, till now, we've been pumping those tanks. And so that's approximately a cost of about $4,000 per month, currently what we have under contract. And so we're estimating usage of about 1,400 to 2,000 gallons per day. And so with that, we would plan to have a replacement of that septic system. And we're estimating approximately cost of $400,000 for the full replacement. That wouldn't include the design or anything, any of those pieces that we've already engaged the EPA with. We've had those discussions, and so we're currently under a monitoring from the EPA, and so we're expecting that they will provide us with support as far as the design piece, and seeking some funds from them to develop the design. But the replacement cost essentially would be an estimate of about $400,000. The last item that we would seek funds for would be supplemental technology. We have issued 2 education tech notes in the past 6 years. Last year we issued a new ed tech note. Most of those funds have either gone towards the infrastructure, the wireless access points, the data drops, and so they haven't been able to support any of the new devices that we've been wanting to introduce to the students. We know that instructional materials, the way they're changing, the supplemental materials for student learning, the content that the students are receiving is becoming more digital, and so to get that quicker into their hands, we're looking to get those devices. The state does provide us with funds for instructional materials, but it's really about a third of the cost of what the actual textbooks are. And so if we go to a digital platform, it will reduce the overall cost, but obviously you have to have those devices for the students to be able to utilize in the classroom. And so we've identified some potential either laptops, desktops, or even handheld devices, iPads and those types of things that would make it easier to just merge all of that content into just one access for those students. We would estimate about $500,000 to get that availability and that access to the students. And obviously that would be just a nominal or smaller scale item and device that they would be able to utilize. And so with that, I'm going to address any questions.
I spoke with the superintendent yesterday about security in our schools, and I was really shocked that wasn't Mesa View, Mesa View Elementary has no security at all, and the superintendent is telling me that quite a few of the elementary schools don't have it, but they are working on it, right, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, sir. The part of the 130,000 that was the main priority of that funding after the Aztec incident, and the state provided that, and then we applied. And so our first look is that exterior and that control and signal entry access, and that's where most of that funding. I would ask if there's support, and what we're focusing on as a district is trying to take care of ourselves as well as if you've seen the Aztec presentation from the superintendent, radios save lives. And so that communication, we're looking at an integrated system that works with our security, works with our communication. But a custodian with the radio, those were the classroom to get kids from entering the hallway, and more lives being lost that day, and just 2 were lost.
You know, and this is just a comment for the audience really is, you know, I walked in there yesterday because I had a meeting with the principal, Mr. Romero. No, Mrs. Not Romero.
Principal Diego.
Mr. Grego. And I walked into that school and I mean, there's no security at all. I mean, I asked her, what would you do if I just walked through this hall to
She's the one.
You know, and you know, there's 400 and some kids there. And you know, it was just shocking to me that I could just walk through a school and then nothing happened, you know, nothing, you can stop. By the time you stopped, I could probably wipe out the whole school. You know, it was concerning, and I addressed it to him yesterday, and they are working on it, but it was just it was beyond my belief of what's happening around the country, that you can actually walk into a school where a bunch of little kids are playing and nobody has nothing, you know, have a little radio call maintenance, help, you know, it was just shocking.
That's why it does help when we have those, we see those law enforcement in those areas. And I will tell you, the newest site or newest school in the district is Los Alamitos Middle School, and really it's the only one that has the protected vestibule. That won't stop anything, Aztec, but it does make it more secure and helps you control who's in those hallways and in those buildings. And so that is our first priority. We're looking at prevention and mitigation.
Did you just say you had something like $28,000 to do something to the doors?
Yeah, that school alone, well, their cut or portion is 28,000, is specifically to control that entry level or that vestibule, so that it's not just walk in and go.
You know, us as legislators, we need to do something a little bit more for our school, especially little kids. You know, at the high school, you know, you can get away with little kids. You know,
Every elementary, and unless it's,
you people need to go to that school one day.
every elementary will be like that. Unless there's a new school built, now they're looking at it, but with the schools in our district, and I think if you go around any older schools, you'll probably find that. The newer schools, it's in the design.
They don't have schools built in the 1950s, I think. Anyway, thank you.
So we're working on that.
That school at one time was like number 100 on the list of replacement schools, and because of the charter schools, the 100 had gone to like 140 or something like that. I mean, and I was just like Representative Garcia, I did walk into Mesa this morning, and I was thinking the same thing going through there, because it was so easy to get in. But not only that, the other day I was in Ilana Elementary, and you can walk right into the building without any problem at all. And that's one of our newer schools.
It does have the double door, but it doesn't have the lock or the automatic entry, so that's one of the solutions for that.
But you have received the funding from the state under that special program, the money that was set aside, and so you are working on these projects.
We've got notice that we will be receiving the funding. We'd have to, I think for January, we'll see where it goes to bar and then go to the actual spending. The goal would be have that done this summer.
Yeah, and we've already had some conversations with some contractors on their potential timelines, getting those projects completed well before the end of this fiscal year.
And on the new technology, do we have the ability to provide the broadband that is necessary for the schools at this time?
Great question. With our 2016 E-rate, it was held up with some issues. We were able to secure that funding, and so we should be 100 megabytes. By this time next year, we should be 100 megabytes at high-speed fiber at all of our sites. 3 are ready to get light up now by June 1 of 2019. And then the construction is going to be at 3 other set, Blue Water, and other than that,
I wish we could do that in my house.
One question, Superintendent, how do we rate on what we have to other schools, like Albuquerque, and where are we at in comparison? Because I know we're adequate, but adequacy is not necessarily a good thing, because, you know, I hear it every day when we're in session. Las Cruces, Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Santa Fe. That's all it seems that everybody cares about, just that. Where do we stand on what we have and what we should have in our communities?
So, no offense, I understand the process, and we appreciate every dollar we get in building and everything, but some of our staff, especially when they've been on some of the committees when we're building something, they call those adequacy standards inadequacy standards. And so unless you have a very strong tax base where you can go above what adequacy is, then you're left with buildings without security entrances or smaller classrooms, computers.
So that comes down to that impact fee, right?
Yes.
Because we don't have the tax base, and if I'm not mistaken, we're getting 25% of it, and 75% is going to other schools, we need to really look at that. 'Cause
We are making that push, you'll find that in those resolutions. But again, if we could get that at-risk factor moved up from 0.10 to 0.25, that will redistribute some of that revenue, and I hope that's somewhere in legislation.
You know, because I was in LSC last week and I noticed that there was 6 colleges, branch colleges that had taken a cut and they were all in rural areas. Grants took a cut, Gallup took a cut, Luna County took a cut, you know, and all the main branches, they're just fine. But everybody else taking a beating on it, just step up.
And I'd leave you with the last thing I want, since this group is here, I want to make sure that everybody looks at the school as an economic development opportunity. We have over 600 employees, a $2 million a month budget, and so your schools are your economic, and we want to keep working with everyone to make sure that we're providing the workforce that stays in Sonoma County and works in Sonoma County.
You know, one more thing just for the audience, I guess, we're trying to get funding for a football field here.
Thank you.
And that should be happening, if all goes well, that should be happening here really soon, so we can get an artificial turf on it. You know, I should let the cat out of the bag, but it is what it is.
Promising.
Let us hope it happens.
We have whined and we have cried and we have done everything to get this done, so I can almost bet that it will happen. In fact, I was offered some cheese at one of the meetings, so to go with my wine.
You know, when I'm in Santa Fe, every time I get a hold of David Abbey, David, where's my money for my football? It's coming here, it's coming here. Give me a break. But, you know,
We appreciate that work, David Abbey, and also Mr. Chamberlain. I know he's doing a lot of direct work. He came out, looked at.
and, you know, we were in Santa Fe and, the superintendent and the finance manager were there for a meeting they put together up there, and Representative Alcorn helping us on this stuff, and if all goes well, they told me anytime now, so let's hope.
Thank you. It's good to hear this community is persevering in the support for our kids and our schools. Looking forward to great developments. So, to reward your patience, our next, last but not least, is Billy Moore, who is the Executive Director of the Northwest New Mexico Regional Solid Waste Authority. He's also our District Transportation Commissioner for District 6. He's also one of my bosses. He's Chairman of the Council of Governments Board. Welcome, Billy.
I got 3 hats.
One more.
And a newly elected county commissioner from McKinley County.
Well, we'll be talking fresh, Representative, thank you for having us all here. We appreciate it. Representative Garcia, appreciate your contribution last year to support us. As always, we have no priorities. We have lots of needs like everybody else, mainly heavy equipment. So anything that's available, we're more than willing to accept. Everybody helps. With that, I'm finished. Very brief.
Not a question, just a comment, be more likely. I know you've helped the city with dumpsters and so forth, and I've talked to Mr. Windhorse on how generous you've been on that issue. And, you know, we appreciate it because, you know, we need to keep everything pretty and clean out here. And if you can't afford dumpsters and stuff that you're supplying most of the time, we really appreciate that.
Like that, we work with every member of government that is here. And by helping and working together, we keep the rates down for the cost of taking fees, the cost of dumping trash. So, you know, I'd say it really did help us.
And what you just said there, Billy, working together is the key to everything. Because if you don't work together, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give us all an applause for it. We heard from many talking about our neighbors in Valencia County who just can't get it together. We've got our issues right, but we can get together and we can support each other. So it's been great to have everybody here. We do have lunch that's been provided to us for us by Wilson and Company, and I understand that For those who want to partake, we go through this door. We're asked not to bring food back into the chambers, but it's all set up for us as you walk through that door. So welcome, and that'll conclude the proceedings today.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it.